To add a quiz in Moodle, we must first navigate to our course and turn editing on. On your course page, in the top right corner, you'll find the button Turn Editing On. Click on this. Note that within your structured topics that you are now able to add resources and activities. Click on Add an Activity and choose Quiz from the drop-down menu. You will be taken to a new window with many options and attributes for your quiz. The only required field for your quiz is the name field. If you give your quiz a title and choose Save and Display at the bottom of the page, your quiz will be created and you'll be taken to a screen in which you can add questions. All of the other attributes we see on this page can be revisited later. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to walk through all of the options and attributes. So you can enter a title, also make a note in the introduction if you'd like. Now we're going to set the open and close date and times for the quiz. First, note that the drop-down menus are not editable until you click the Enable checkbox associated with the open and close quiz times. Now let's set a time limit for the quiz. Again, you must click the Enable checkbox associated with the time limit in order to make the fields editable. Now we can enter the number of attempts students are allowed when completing the quiz. Because quizzes in Moodle allow you to provide your students with a great deal of feedback, you could allow multiple attempts on a quiz so they learn from their mistakes and the feedback you provide them. Next, we'll choose your grading method. The grading method defaults to the highest grade. Note, if you allow your students only one attempt at a quiz, that the grading method becomes a non-editable field and defaults to the highest grade. Now we're going to look at how to adjust the layout of your quiz and how it will appear to your students. The layout section of the quiz attributes allows you to randomly shuffle the order of the questions you'll be putting into your exam, or will follow the order you choose during the question adding phase. Similarly, you can choose how many questions you wish to display on the quiz page at one time. The default is set to every question. If you are unsure if you want to shuffle questions or split up the questions into pages, you can always come back and edit the quiz settings after you add questions. Now we will look at the question behavior options. Here we can choose how individual questions will behave on the exam. Moodle not only allows you to shuffle questions within the exam, but also allows you to shuffle answers within the exam. If you choose to shuffle within questions, then your answers will change order. Adaptive mode allows you to set up the questions so that when students answer a question incorrectly, it allows them another attempt. Apply penalties is related to the adaptive mode and penalizes a student for each wrong attempt on the question. The option labeled Each attempt builds on the last is only available if you allow students to have multiple attempts to complete a quiz. If you are allowing your students only one attempt, this option should not be available to you. If you are using multiple attempts and you enable this feature, when a student attempts the quiz again, the quiz will contain the results from the previous attempt. This option is a way to let students complete an exam using multiple attempts and learning from their mistakes and the feedback you provide for the quiz. Now we can set your review options for the quiz. The review options allow you to specify the amount of feedback students receive when they complete a quiz, or complete an attempt of a quiz. For example, if you want your students to not receive their marks until after the quiz is closed, to ensure that they do not receive feedback or the correct answers until everyone in the class has written the exam, then you would choose Score in the After the Quiz is Closed column. In the Display section, we can set the display options for your exam. The display options allows you to show a user's picture and name while they attempt the exam. A picture will only show up, however, if students have added a picture to their Moodle profile. This is set to No by default. You can also choose accuracy of the graded questions and exam by setting the number of decimal places that Moodle will use to calculate grades. The blocks that appear in the side columns, such as recent activity and calendar on your course page, can be hidden during an exam. By default, they are hidden. It is recommended that you keep this setting and hide the blocks unless you have a specific need for them. Next, we're going to look at setting any restrictions on quiz attempts. These options allow Moodle to provide your exam with added security. If your exam is being written in the testing center, the CRDC will create a password for you and also enter your network address to ensure that this information is communicated to the testing center. If your exam is being written from home, or if the exam has no location restrictions, then you would want to leave the network address free. You can password protect the quiz, but you will need to communicate the password to your students. When creating a quiz that uses multiple attempts, you can also force the students to take some time to review before taking another attempt. You can set the delay between the first and second attempts, and also for any attempts greater than 2. Note that the drop-down menus are not editable until you click the Enable checkbox. If your exam is being written in the testing center, most likely the browser security will be set to Full Screen Pop-up. When this option is chosen, students are unable to navigate back into the rest of the course content during the exam. Now we'll look at providing some general feedback to your students. Moodle allows you to provide your students with general feedback upon completing a quiz or a quiz attempt. Not only can you provide valuable feedback, but you can customize the feedback and comments according to the score the students receive. For example, if the students receive under 50%, you could provide links and guidance to review materials and other resources so that students can learn from their mistakes. Next, let's set the common module settings. In this set of options, you can choose how this quiz is provided to groups. If you have no groups in your course, then only the ID number option will be of interest to you. If you are using groups, choose the appropriate group settings. To learn more about groups and the options available for groups, please see the Groups resource materials. Next, let's set the Restrict Access options. The Restricting Access area allows you to select release criteria for your exam. There is date criteria and grade criteria. To set the date criteria, you'll need to click the Enable checkbox before you can access these options. The date criteria allows you to create your quiz months in advance, but set the date your quiz object becomes visible to students before the exam date. Grade criteria allows you to set the quiz to be released only upon completion of another activity. Grade parameters can be specified as well. These custom release types can help you control which activities and resources should be focused on by your students. Now we can save our quiz. All the options have been covered, and now we can save and display, which will allow you to begin adding and creating questions for your quiz. Or you can save and return to the course, which will take you back to the main topics section of the course you are working on.